for today's 20-minute beginner strength workout. This is the start of the third week of my Sweat Smart program, which is a 4-week program designed for beginners. If you are a beginner and you haven't started from week 1, day 1, please go back. You can click the card up here or the link in the description below and start with workout 1 because the workouts do build on each other. So the past 2 weeks in our strength workout, we've done all body weight, meaning no equipment moves. Today we are going to incorporate light dumbbells, I've got mine sitting down there, into our workout. And by light, I'm talking 3 or 5 pounds. If you don't have dumbbells, don't you dare turn off the video. I have a solution for you. You're either going to grab 2 16-ounce water bottles, you know, like plastic 16-ounce water bottles, or 2 cans of food. Those have a good amount of weight in them. And if you don't have either of those, you can just use your body weight, okay? You definitely want a mat, maybe some water close by, and a towel. We're gonna start with a warm-up, 3 circuits with 3 moves each, and then we'll end with a cool down. If you need to get your mat, your dumbbells, your towel, or your water, go ahead and press pause. Otherwise, I'm gonna go ahead and get us started with our warm-up, and we're gonna start with that same march in place with an arm cross. So let me just make sure this volume is turned all the way up. And then it's just that march in place, and we're doing the hug of the arms. I like to keep my thumbs up towards the ceiling. It opens up my chest a little bit. I've been working on some push-ups and some pull-ups in my personal workouts. So my chest is really tight this week, and this feels really good. I can actually feel it on the outside of my arms as well. So once you have your balance, you can just begin to march a little bit quicker in place. So the reason we've done the same warm-up, okay, next we have a step jack, so it's just a tap out to the side and an overhead reach. The reason we're doing the same warm-up in the first 2 workouts each week is because a warm-up is really important. It gets our body ready for workout, it gets our mind ready for workout. And after this 4-week program is over, I want you to have a warm-up in your mind that's just second nature that you can do if you're at the gym or you're at home working out, so that you get that warm-up in and you don't skip it. Because if we skip our warm-up, we have more of a tendency to get injured. All right, next we're gonna come to one end of our mat or our space, and we're gonna take lateral walks with a bent arm lateral raise. Make sure you're breathing. Core is turned on. And then once you've got the hang of it, you're gonna move a little bit faster. Make sure that your shoulders aren't creeping up to your ears. We want nice, relaxed shoulders. You've probably noticed the change of scenery today. We're inside the house. I had to get flexible. There's some construction going on at the house across the street from me, and it was pretty noisy out front. Okay, so now we're gonna come to that butt kick in a row. So feet a little wider than hip width distance apart, athletic stance in the knees, palms facing down, shoulder height, and as you kick your heel into your butt, you row the elbows back, hugging the shoulder blades together back there. Really beginning to strengthen into the upper back. Warm up the arms a bit more. Warm up the hamstrings, the big muscles in the back of the leg, and the quadricep, the big muscle in the front of the leg. And of course, this big muscle, our heart, is starting to get flowing as well. Okay, so the last move is that heel tap and the front press. So again, shoulders down and back, away from the ears. And then the more comfortable you are with the move, the quicker you're gonna begin to work. So this is warming up our biceps. We will be doing bicep curls today. We're going to cover all the basics of strength training with dumbbells between this week and next week. So at this point, you're an advanced beginner. Congratulations. Okay, so we have this 10-second rest. Go ahead and grab a sip of water if you need. Towel off if you don't. Keep walking around. So now we have 30 seconds. I'm going to demonstrate our first 3 moves. First is a squat with the dumbbells, shoulders down and back away from the ears. Sit down into that squat with the dumbbells. Then we're going to come into that hinged move with the dumbbells. It's also called a Romanian deadlift. And then we're going to do bicep curls. We're on in 5 seconds. Grab your dumbbells, feet a little wider than hip width distance apart, toes at 11 and 1, dumbbells down by your side. So sometimes what happens is we let our shoulders hunch forward and our knees fall in, but we want shoulders down and back, away from the ears, and pressing into the pinky edge of each foot and imagining that you're pulling the mat apart between your feet to keep those knees from caving in. Okay, so now we have 15 seconds to catch our breath, and we're going to come into the hinge. So feet hip width distance apart. Again, shoulders down and back, collarbones wide. Butt goes back first. Trace your palms down to about just under your knees, and then squeeze your buns to come back up. Inhaling as you lower, and exhaling to lift. Now, if you find that the dumbbells are just too much, I want you to put them down and do the moves without dumbbells. Pressing into the bottoms of your feet to come up. So think about your hips being a door hinge in that move. We'll come back to that in the next round. Okay, bicep curls. Feet hip width distance apart, shoulders down and back away from the ears, palms facing forward, elbows glued into your side, and you're gonna lift the dumbbells from your hips to your shoulders. So pinning the elbows into the side keeps our arms from flailing all around. And then we can't use any momentum here. We're squeezing the biceps, the big muscles in the top front of our arms. So you can even make it a little bit more exaggerated. All right, guys, we're back to those weighted squats. So feet a little wider than hip width distance, toes out at 11 and 1. Imaginary string lifting your chest up towards the ceiling. Sit back and down in that imaginary chair, and then press through your heels and squeeze your buns to come up. So your range of motion might be deeper than mine, or it might be shallower than mine, and that's fine. And all that means is you're sitting down lower, or you're sitting down a little bit higher. And either way, you're doing the work. And then remember, squeeze your buns at the top, don't thrust your hips forward. All right, so now we're back to those hinges. So imagine this is the door hinge, right? Open, close. And that's what we're going for here. So chest open wide, butt goes back first. Trace the palms down, or the knuckles down rather, and then squeeze your buns to come up to stand. So in addition to strengthening our buns here, we're strengthening our hamstrings and the muscles in our back. So that's a back chain, the back of the body strengthener, which are very important. A lot of muscles focus on the front of the body, but the back body strength is equally important. All right, bicep curls, feet about hip width distance apart. Shoulders back and down, palms face forward, and then we're gonna lift for a count of 2 or 3 and lower for a count of 2 or 3. So controlling the movement as the dumbbells come back down by your hips is just as important as lifting those dumbbells up towards the shoulders. Exhaling as we lift, which engages our core. Inhaling as we lower. All right, guys, that was the end of our first circuit. We're gonna have about 45 seconds. If you don't need rest, you can do a march in place, or you can do side steps the length of the mat. Okay, so now we have 30 more seconds, and we have 3 new moves. We have alternating reverse lunges. So we're gonna step one foot back, and then step the other back, weighted. And then we're gonna come into a hinged tricep kickback. And then we're gonna do an overhead press, okay? Join me when you hear the bell. We're coming into that reverse lunge. So imaginary string, lifting your chest up towards the ceiling. Feet are hip width distance apart. So remember, think railroad tracks and not a tightrope. We want the front knee to stay over the ankle. We don't want the knee to go way out over the toes. And then we're squeezing that front glute, which is your butt, and pressing into the heel to come back up. Okay, so now we're gonna come into that hinged position again. So feet are hip width distance apart. We're gonna bend the elbows like little cricket wings. Butt goes back, and you're gonna lift your pinkies, and then bring the dumbbells back in. So this is a tricep kickback. Something else you can try if you feel this in your low back is just to step one foot back. So you're in sort of a lunge. And then remember which foot you stepped back, because we'll step the opposite foot back next time. So the triceps are these muscles right here. And then now we're gonna come into an overhead press. So your palms are facing in, the dumbbells are at your shoulders, elbows are pressing forward, and you're gonna press one, bring it down, press the other. If this feels super easy and you'd like to make it a little bit more challenging, you can press both at the same time. Make sure you're not arching your low back. Hug your tailbone under. So if you had a little tail, it would shift between your legs. Not like we're tucking our tail in shame or anything. That's just the easiest way to think about it. All right, so we have those 3 moves again. I'm gonna just come to this end of the mat. I don't know if the view is any better or different, but we have those step back reverse lunges, shoulders down and back, chest tall and proud, feet hip width distance apart. Blow out the birthday candles, exhale to come up to stand. And you should feel this in your buns and in your quads, not in your knees. If you're feeling it in your knees, I want you not to take as big of a step back, and make sure that you're sitting back in that front heel. All right, the hinged tricep kickback. Collarbones wide, arms down by your side. Butt goes back first, chest lengthens forward, bend the elbows, keep the elbows hugged in. And then I want you to look out in front of you and on the ground. So you're looking at a diagonal. Squeeze at the top. Maybe try to press those dumbbells up towards the ceiling. Just a bit more. All right, so now we have that overhead press. And remember, it's one at a time, or it's both if you're feeling secure. And then if you want to take it even further, you're going to press and march at the same time. So it requires balance, and maybe your march is a toe tapping the ground, which is still balance, which is so important. These dumbbells are beginning to feel heavy. All right, so go ahead and set the dumbbells down. Nice shake out of the arms. In about 10 seconds, we're gonna hear a bell, and then we have 30 seconds. If you don't need the rest, you can do step jacks, you can do squats. If you need a sip of water, get a sip of water. And I'm gonna demonstrate our next 3 moves, which are going to be done all down on the mat. We have a kneeling front raise, and then we're gonna come down to 1 dumbbell, and we're gonna bring it by our left hip. We're gonna come into a kneeling position, and we're gonna pull it from side to side, and then we're gonna come onto our backs for the 3rd move. We're gonna get started in about 5 seconds with that front raise. And again, a good place to start is 1 at a time. It's very controlled. Exhaling to lift also very much engages the core. And then using control as you lower that dumbbell back down towards your hips. Okay, so now we're gonna put 1 dumbbell off to the side. We're gonna come into this kneeling pose, so tabletop, and you're gonna bring the dumbbell back towards 1 knee. Corkscrew the palms into the mat and look forward towards the edge of your mat as you use the opposite hand to pull the dumbbell underneath your body without opening up towards one side or the other. And if you're feeling like you're ready for more of a challenge, tuck your toes and come up into a plank and then pull the dumbbell without wiggling your hips from side to side. All right, so that final move is going to be a weighted glute bridge. So you're going to bring the dumbbell to the fronts of your hips. You're going to walk your heels in close to your glutes. Feet are about hip width distance apart. And then lift your hips. So you're providing the weight of the dumbbell and some pressure, pressing into the dumbbell. So you're squeezing your glutes to press the dumbbell up towards the ceiling. So the entire bottom of the foot presses into the mat. I want you to imagine that you're pulling the mat apart with your feet, but that you're keeping your knees and your inner thighs hip width distance apart. All right, carefully come back up for those front raises. So grab your other dumbbell, and then again, slight tuck under in the tailbone, tall and proud chest. The shoulders are back away from the ears, and they're snuggled together down in their sockets. Smell the flowers when you inhale. Blow out the birthday candles as you exhale and do the work. And remember, if you're feeling up to it, you can lift both at the same time. All right, coming back into the pull under. So first, bring the dumbbell back by one of your knees. Come into that tabletop pose. And then reach and pull it under. So working on anti-rotation here, which means we're not opening up to one side or the other as we pull the dumbbell. Remember, if you're ready, you're going to tuck your toes under and come up into a plank. Doing your very best not to open up side to side as the dumbbell pulls under. All right, if you'd like to make this hip bridge a little bit spicier, you're going to bring both dumbbells to the fronts of your hips. Walk your heels in towards your glutes. Low back flat on the mat. Exhale, press, squeeze, and lift and hold for 1. And then inhale and lower with control. Low back touches the mat. And then you press and lift. So this is firing up the hamstrings back here and our glutes. Don't let the knees fall out wide. All right, carefully put the dumbbells off to the side somewhere. And we're gonna take a few minutes here to stretch. So when you're ready, come into a child's pose. So big toes touch, knees wide, sit your hips back here. I'm gonna move these out of the way so you can see me. And then walk your fingertips forward. So this is a really nice stretch for our quads and a really nice release for our low back. We're gonna walk our hands over towards the left, and if you can, you're gonna bring your right hand on top of your left. Just a really nice stretch for that right side body. Come back through center, walk your hands over to the right, and if you can, you're gonna bring your left hand on top of your right, and if you can't, that's fine too. And then go ahead and come back through center, carefully press up to a tabletop. Let's do some cat-cows here, just to help calm our heart rate. Stretch our back. Inhaling as you come up to cow, which is gaze lifts, chest opens wide, hips lift. And then exhale as you press back into your Halloween scaredy cat. So a cool down after a workout is very important. It stretches our muscles. All right, so now walk your hands out about a palm's distance from where they were. Tuck your toes under. Sit your buns back towards your heels, and then lift your hips up and back, coming into a downward facing dog with a really nice, generous bend in your knees. And then you can just begin to pedal one foot, which is bringing one heel to the ground while the other knee is deeply bent, and then switching it out. So pressing your belly back towards your thighs, finding length in the upper body by pressing those fingertips and palms forward and away from you. And then with bent knees, just slowly walk your hands back towards your feet, coming into a forward fold stretch. You can kind of sway side to side if that feels good. Slowly roll up to standing, one vertebra at a time. And then we're gonna do a tricep stretch on the right. Bend that right elbow, and I don't want you pressing yourself forward. I want you staying open and proud here. And then bring the arm down, and then we'll switch it out. So again, as the hand walks down the back, the elbow comes back to keep the chest open and proud. All right, guys, virtual high fives. Give yourself a pat on the back. I will see you back here on Wednesday for our third low impact, high intensity cardio workout. Thanks for working out with me. Stay safe.